Hello and welcome to the Yetti Den. This is a podcast that Matt Gorgas, otherwise known as JumbyJumbwa and I have been doing now. We've been testing, getting our tech set up, our remote locations going, and it seems like our tech is working, so we will be publishing this episode on the Nintendo Switch 2 and some of the rumors going around and some of our hopes and dreams for the second console. Matt, how have you been doing this past week?
Pretty good. Honestly, I've been a bit excited about the new Final Fantasy dropping at the end of the month. So I've been...
That's right.
Yeah, I've been playing the first one, Final Fantasy Remake, and I haven't played I think it's called Intermission. They have DLC for it, so I want to get to that too. Oh, it's Intermission. Same word, same difference. But yeah, I really want to get to all that before I play the next one. And I haven't beaten Remake yet, so I'm excited to finish that and wrap that up. Have you gotten to play that one at all yet? Are you looking to play Final Fantasy VII Part 2 when it comes out?
Yeah, so I put it on pause, but I'm going to resume it. I've played maybe like 4 to 5 hours of the original, and then I've probably played around the same amount of time. Maybe it's 9 hours on the original and 4 hours on the remake, but on the remake, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'll say I just got to my apartment in the remake. And then in the original, I believe I am ahead of that part in the original, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, because I know the way that these games interact is really interesting, and I also know there's just so much Final Fantasy VII media to consume that I don't know what's a spoiler and what's not a spoiler. But yeah, I'm early on both of them, and I've really enjoyed both of them. They're both really good.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I don't quite know what's a spoiler and not a spoiler because I didn't play the original when I was a kid. I missed that one. But I've always heard it was the best, and I'm enjoying what I'm experiencing now with the remake. I'm going to have to go back like you and play the original, but I hear it's sped up in terms of story, and that's why they're doing this one in parts instead. So yeah, I'm excited to try that one eventually and compare and contrast, but that's really cool that you've been like kind of bouncing between the two and seeing what's to come in a way.
Yeah. Have you been playing anything else this week because you're on PS5, you're on PC, you're on Switch. Are you playing the remake primarily on your PS5, and is it doing any kind of upgrade, or is it running the base PS4 version with any kind of enhancement?
I think what they did is they sort of upgraded the visuals. Like I watched a compare and contrast video. It's so slight. It almost feels like what they did with Last of Us, like just slight differences, maybe a coat of paint in a way. It's really not that much. I noticed that like when I run it on, I think it's called Fidelity, or just the mode that goes 4K, the high performance, or not the high performance is FPS. I was running it on the 4K and it ran smoothly. And so I've been playing it on that, where I think if I just played it on a PlayStation 4 without the upgraded console, I would be suffering trying to reach a 4K image with a smooth frame rate. So yeah, I'm very happy about playing it on PlayStation 5. The visuals, I think what I was trying to say to start my point off is the visuals are so slight. Like I noticed there was like more of a dense fog in the PlayStation 4 version, assuming that they were trying to hide mistakes, right? Cover up some of their, I guess, what am I, the walls, what's the word I'm looking for? The textures, 3D model textures. Looking for. They were probably trying to hide that with like some more fog and stuff like that, but they cleared it up a bit so that you can see more of the visuals, and it looks pretty good. There's some areas where I'm like, they could have spent a little bit longer on this pipe, but that's just me being nitpicky. It's really good though. I really do enjoy it.
Rad. And have you been playing anything besides Final Fantasy, or are you kind of just focusing on that until the next iteration comes out of the Final Fantasy VII? Right.
I've been sort of mostly focusing on that. I was coming off of a Pokemon grind. I mentioned last week I've been playing a lot of Pokemon, but that's been on a standstill ever since I got all the Pokemon I could get in my version in Violet. And so that I got all the exclusive Violet Pokemon, but I don't have the other versions, so I'm missing all the Scarlet exclusives. And so I'm kind of pressing pause on that until my brother can like trade me over some Pokemon, and I can do that with him and finally max out the Pokedex there and begin shiny hunting. Do you know what shining hunting is, Spencer?
No, I want to, but I have one question before that. I didn't know you could trade. So are you saying that if you and your brother own the complementary versions of the same game, you guys could both get the exclusives from your own specific version and then trade them online and give each other the rare exclusives per each version?
That's absolutely correct. And that's how they design it, because originally Pokemon, part of the original idea of it was to leverage the link cable between Game Boys, and so that they can trade what they collect. And so they've kept that through every Pokemon game, where they give you incentive to either buy both versions or just have a friend who has the other version and trade with them so you can collect them all. And so, yes, my brother has Scarlet and I have Violet, so I plan on doing that with him. But again, there's so many games out there. He's not playing Pokemon right now, so just kind of put on the back burner with that one. Thus the Final Fantasy. Yeah, what about you? Oh, I was going to ask you, shiny hunting. Do you know what that is?
Yes. No, what's shiny hunting?
Shiny hunting is when you collect a Pokemon, but you are searching and hunting for a variant of that Pokemon, and it's usually seen through a color change. So like say normally the Pokemon is orange, it could be green, right? Or it could be a dark blue, right? It's the off color version of that Pokemon, and I think it's some ridiculous number of a chance of seeing it, like 1 out of 6,000 kind of thing. And so they're super rare, and people collect them, and they try to fill out the whole Pokedex of just shinies if you're insane, right? And so people could be playing a single Pokemon game for years and years and years and still not have all the shinies or shiny versions of a Pokemon.
Have you found any shinies yet in
I've only found one.
Scarlet/Violet?
I've only found one
which
in
Pokemon
all my
is
time
that?
Playing it's a new Paldean Pokemon, which is the region. It's a dog. It's a doggo. It's like Massilifu something. I'm so bad with the new names. I know like Charizard, Bulbasaur, Squirtle. But it's a dog Pokemon, and I finally caught one, and I was like, oh my gosh. I just quickly showed my wife, and she's like,
did you get a
I don't
sense?
know what that means.
Did you get a sense of adrenaline when you caught it?
Yes. Well, it appears randomly in the open world, and you can see it in a group of its kind, just like chilling in the map. And you don't want it to disappear, so you're like jumping for that Pokemon to enter in a battle with it, so you have a chance to catch it. And then there's that anxiety building of, is it gonna run away? Am I gonna accidentally kill it? All that, and then you finally catch it, and you're like, oh, I got this. It feels so good. It's the ultimate collect-a-thon game, I think. Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we'll come back to that when we get to a certain element of our key story of the Nintendo Switch 2. So remind me to remind you about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So as far as what I've been playing, I have still been obsessed with Dredge. This game is one of the best Nintendo Switch indies I've ever played. It is up there with Kingdom and Vampire Survivors and Atomic Crops. I love the sense of discovery, while also the sense of repetition that like a good crafting survival game would have, where just catching fish is fun. The fishing mini game is fun. Catching rare fish, rare variants of the fish. It really is tapping into something that I think more indies should try and emulate, because there's no part of the gameplay loop that is tedious. There's no fast travel. The way that you travel faster is you just keep upgrading your engine on your boat. I think for one of the vendors, my boat is like fully upgraded, and you get like more slots. And a lot of it is that kind of like Resident Evil 1 kind of puzzle mechanic, where like your storage inventory is its own kind of jigsaw puzzle, where like the fish all take up different blocks. So like a rare fish could be like a shark, and it has all these angles. So your shape is not just a simple square or 2 blocks or 1 block. It's kind of angular, and you have to figure out, I could fit 2 L-shaped fishes around the fin, and then I could get a couple mackerels to line that. And you make all these shapes, and then you sell, you do favors for people, and it's very grim dark, kind of like Darkest Dungeon. And so there's a lot of reward in finding out more from a quest giver, speaking to them, getting their more lines from them in the narrative, trying to figure out what makes this world so strange and bizarre. So I highly recommend Dredge. And if you like fishing, survival, roguelites, all that kind of thing, I think you would really like this game. It's really fun. And then the other game I got recently, my sister got for me, is The Last Spell. And this is a build, protect, survive tactical RPG, turn-based. And I just installed it to get a feel for it. It's one that I really wanted to look into because of the tower elements of it, the tower defense elements. And again, very grim dark, kind of has a very Castlevania looking aesthetic to it. So I'll give my thoughts on this next week. I just opened it up yesterday. But it looks like a game that would be more built for PC. There's a lot of those like indie gems that make their way over from Steam to the Nintendo Switch, and you kind of got to suss out if the text is going to be too small and if it's too deep to be on a little screen or on too big of a screen far away. You know, that like weird kind of console optimization that needs to happen for these kind of city management or building, or, you know, kind of more almost, I don't know. I think of games like Frostpunk or Age of Empires, you know, like how it scales with your distance to the screen and the size of screen and stuff. So I have a feeling that this will be a game I'll want to double dip on for Steam. But yeah, it's so far it's interesting. I want to finish Dredge, and then I installed Persona 3. Yes. Yeah, I installed Persona 3 yesterday and started the Persona 3 Portable, because again, I'm going to try and do that Final Fantasy 7 remake thing where I'll play a couple hours on the original and then like go to the remake and just compare and contrast. So I'm like maybe an hour in Persona 3, and a couple things I noticed, it's really dark, like really dark themes. It reminds me of there's this anime on Hulu, and I forget what it's called, but it's about an island, and there's a very similar theme of death with that anime and Persona 3, and I'd be really curious to see what the relationship is. Like, is that a common thing? Because it's very, very specific, and when you see the visuals of Persona 3, you'll be kind of shocked that it goes that dark with high school students and the themes that they're exploring. And the anime is really similar. And that's what I love about content from like versus like East and West, like Japan, even like Korean content, where the way that they deal with high school themes, I guess the closest thing we would have on our side would be maybe like Riverdale. like if you've ever seen Riverdale, it's like it kind of goes dark, but I just love how anime can take these really sharp turns, or a JRPG could take these really sharp turns where you would never see a Disney or any kind of teen programming in the US go quite so hard, while still appealing to that age group. So yeah, Persona 3 so far is interesting. It's interesting seeing like the thread from that and what I've played of Persona 5. There's a character that is in both of them. So I'm still trying to understand how connected the Persona games are to each other. And I haven't gotten into the combat yet, but I do really like the music. There's a song that has like a rap in it that reminds me of Gorillaz' Plastic Beach album, and I'm a huge Gorillaz fan, and I'm really curious what the story is behind that. It's like it sounds like he's rapping in English, but I have a feeling he's not, and there's like a low pitch effect on the guy's voice, and I would just love to know like, what are they saying? What was their inspiration? Like, Mo kind of turned her head up when she heard the song. Like, it's one of those songs that catches your eye immediately because it's bold. But yeah, I really liked that. And then I think that's it. I'm going to start playing Hi-Fi Rush this week because there's a rumor that we may be finding out tomorrow that the Hi-Fi Rush game from Tango Gameworks is coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. So yeah, we shall see. But yeah, I figured it would be a good time to play that. But we're recording on Valentine's Day. So I was curious, what are some romantic games you've played as a gamer? Have you ever played a game and engaged in romancing a companion? Or is there any love stories tied into a game that you think had a particular impact on you?
That's a good question. I mean, I've always appreciated so romantic situations happening in my games. They can add another fun aspect to gaming in a way, like dialogue choices, right? Who loves a good dialogue choice? And I think romantic scenarios really leverage that kind of gameplay and that storytelling. So I've always played them since I was my first I actually played a romantic sort of dating sim game on my Game Boy as a kid. I can't remember. I wish I remember the name of this game.
What game is this?
I know, dude. I'm gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to swing around back to me some point if I can remember what it's called. But anyways, it was kind of anime.
You got to do a video on that.
I know. It was kind of like anime, dude. Like where they would have like the character standing there and then like dialogue underneath them, and then you would have like choices on like, do you want to give them a flower, or then you would like leave and like go talk to another character, and then try to build up a relationship with them. And then, yeah, it was a dating sim, but it was on the Game Boy. But anyways, I think the most popular one, at least to me, and I think a lot of other people would agree with me, like one of the best games with romance, and I see that you have this one written down, is Witcher 3. Like that one sticks out to me like a sore thumb. Of people are very passionate, including myself, about who to romance. Triss or Triss or Yennefer, right? And that whole debacle and debate, who's better. So this is where do I pick a team right now? Do I officially stand on a team?
Yeah,
right here on this channel?
You got to. You have to. Yeah. What are you, Team Yennefer or Team Tess?
I would be.
It's not Tess. Wait, what is her name?
Triss or Yennefer.
Triss.
So Triss is the one with the red hair, and Yennefer is black hair. Gosh, I would for me because I'm a little bit of a purist, a little bit, like especially when it like kind of comes to like Lord of the Rings and fantasy and things like that. The Witcher's made off of a book series called The Witcher, and I think in the books he's supposed to end up with Yennefer, and so I lean that way towards Yennefer. But I understand all the Triss lovers, all the Triss fans. And I think in my first playthrough, I picked Triss as well because it just seemed like they had, in the video game universe, and what you play in their storylines, like from Witcher 2 to Witcher 3, it just kind of looks like Geralt's now moved on and has now these feelings with Triss. But yeah, I don't know. They totally try to make it look like he and Yennefer are star-crossed lovers, just like in the books too. So you can really go either way. I pick Yennefer. There, I said it. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think I chose Yennefer too. I feel like they let you make it kind of messy, and I feel like I did that until there was a turning point. Like there was a very clear turning point, and then I was like, no, Geralt, you need to return to Yennefer.
You can't pick both.
I remember getting.
I mean, you can, but
yeah, I remember getting scenes. Like I would definitely say that. In my first playthrough, Geralt and Triss's relationship was not purely platonic, but then there was a certain point where Geralt had to return to Yennefer, and I feel like she was understanding of his brief departure. I don't remember there being tremendous consequences, and so there was he just needed to be there for Triss, and she was in
needed
need
to be that
of
warm body for her.
Geralt, and who am I to get involved between their two needs? So yeah, it was fun. I'd be really curious to see what happens if you go all the way with Triss. I feel like that would have some major ramifications. But yeah, I've read the book series and I watched the first season of The Witcher. I might have watched the second season of The Witcher. But for me, the lore is the games and the books. So I still need to finish all of the books, but I really like the way that CD Projekt Red has incorporated all of that from the books and translated it and still keeps it fresh. Have you played The Witcher 1 or The Witcher 2 at all?
I've played through about half of Witcher 2, and then another game came out, and I got distracted. But I mean to finish that one, and I heard they're remaking the first one, so I might just play that when that comes out. And then, of course, they'll eventually have Witcher 4, so I'll play that. But yeah, I need to still finish Witcher 2, but I have played some of that. What about you? Did you play all of 2 or 1?
I've started Witcher 1 and I really liked it. But yeah, again, it's this massive backlog. And I've said this joke before, but anytime I'm thinking about buying a game or anytime I try to tease Mo into buying me something, not seriously, but I'll be like, oh, Mo, like, I don't know, maybe you want to grab like Dragon's Dogma 2, you know? And then she'll say something like, oh yeah, how's that backlog going? Like, yeah, did you finish the 100-hour campaign of Fallout 4? Or did you like, it's just the math for gamers is not good. It's not good math at all.
Oh my gosh. And I feel like what made it worse was having a bit of a dry spell, a drought of no games during like COVID. And then all of a sudden just dumped with a bunch of games, a bunch of good ones, a bunch of remakes, a bunch of bringing old games to the modern platform, right? Just being access. Right. And you know what? I just read something that we're entering the latter life cycle of PlayStation 5. And I was thinking like, what has the PlayStation 5 done? What have we gotten from this? And I really think like the main benefit to having a PlayStation 5 is maybe it's not even just a play. Maybe you just do this on PlayStation 4. But I always just felt like I just can play old games on PlayStation 5. Like I can just play all my big old backlog and then some, and that's the benefit and running them the best they can on my PlayStation 5. What's our new repertoire of games? I'm still playing Red Dead 2 and Ghost of Tsushima casually. You know. Now I'm just gonna play Final Fantasy, but like seriously, like there's not a lot of new titles yet. Maybe we'll get some in these next couple of years, but have you noticed that at all with like this era, this console era?
Yeah. For me, I've been overwhelmed with just the Xbox and Nintendo Switch and Steam ecosystems that I haven't even felt the need to get a PlayStation 5 yet. I think the first game that really gave me some FOMO was seeing the trailer for Death Stranding 2. I was like, that looks sick. And I can't wait to play that. So I think as long as I get my PlayStation console and or an upgraded PC by that time, I'll be good. Because yeah, I have a PS4. I still haven't finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. I haven't finished God of War 2018. I haven't started Death Stranding. I'm so behind in the PlayStation ecosystem that it would be nice to have a PS5, but I'm also kind of like waiting for
it's not that bad,
PS5
Spencer.
Pro or
it's not that bad because there's not that many games Pass, for you to what? There's God of War, there's Spider-Man, Hogwarts. Is Hogwarts Legacy only on there, or is that also on Xbox?
No. It's a third party, non-exclusive. Yeah.
Okay. So like, there's only like 3. Like, I don't know. I really don't think like there's a lot of PlayStation exclusives. At least they're not popping. Maybe Final Fantasy, right? But you were playing that on PlayStation 4. So, dude, I wouldn't sweat about it. And that's why I've like pressured you. Like, you got to get a PlayStation now. So. You're good.
Yeah. They're going PC day and date, it seems, on a lot of stuff in the future too. So even if there was something where I felt like I had to have it, now the benefit of a console is the optimization, right? Like that's the problem with AAA PC games day and date is you're scared, are you going to get a dud where it doesn't run on your system? So it's a delicate balance to figure out where to build your game library. I think Steam is a safe place if you have a Steam Deck, because then you could get the extra kind of use out of it. But if your goal is just purely AAA games on a PC, it kind of is nice to have a console alternative just in case you get a bad port, like a bad PC port.
Yeah, and I think that depends on really on a personal level for most people, because like sure, if you do love JRPGs, you basically have like two choices. Do you want to do that on the Switch, or do you want to do that on your PlayStation? And I think answer is gonna vary on a personal level for everyone. And then if you could get it all, like all more power to you. But I really think that you have a Switch, Spencer. You've been playing all the JRPGs I've been playing pretty much. And then also playing like old titles, and you have your PC, and you have an Xbox as well. So yeah, that's why I've never like pressured you, like you gotta get a PlayStation. you know.
I just know the moment I buy one, they'll announce a new model. And I'm waiting for one that looks like a PlayStation 1. Have you seen the one that they showed at Jim Ryan's going away party? There was a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 1 wrap. It was so sick. And I was like, I'm an aesthetic gamer. I want the PlayStation 5 to have some texture to it, to like, either be matte black or be gray kind of 90s, or, something special to it. So I'm hoping that as they close out the PlayStation 5, there's something cool.
Yeah, I don't know what happened
with that system.
I don't know what happened with PlayStation with the design with the PS5. They've always been like just kind of slick, not too race car-y, like flashy consoles, and it almost like looks like they wanted to be like Xbox 360. Remember what that looked like? Xbox 360, all white and kind of like, and this curvy
that
body.
Turned me off to the Xbox 360. Yeah, I'm not about that. We've talked about this in our previous episodes that nobody saw, but like, to me, I want stuff to look as minimalist and functional and pure to form as possible. Like
not like space
curves. Once yeah, exactly. Like the curves is just always a weird vibe with electronics for me.
Totally.
But as far as what's next for Nintendo Switch, there are rumors from Universo Nintendo, picked up and translated by Eurogamer and a lot of these outlets. But Universo Nintendo is a Portuguese website that claims that the Switch 2 will not only have backwards compatibility with Switch, but developers will also be able to, quote, enhance these games thanks to the additional processing power. And that's from Vicky Blake at Eurogamer. She continues that the report hails from a Portuguese podcast, Ex do Controle, by PH Brazil, and was shared across social media by Centro Leaks. Further asserts that rumors about a Nintendo Direct coming next week are indeed true, and claims that we'll finally have confirmation about Nintendo's badly kept secret system at a hardware reveal event sometime in March. So key takeaways for me were that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have backwards compatibility and enhanced games, kind of like what you were talking about with the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, where you're incentivized to play the old games on the new system. And then that will be due to additional processing power. And another key takeaway is that there's a Nintendo Direct rumor, which I'm still not sure if I believe that yet, and then a reveal date in March. So what are your thoughts on backwards compatibility, enhanced games via processing power, and a Nintendo Direct rumor and a console reveal? Give me your thoughts on each of those points.
Well, okay, so first, backwards compatibility. I think that's great. They've always needed to go this direction, especially in today's current gaming world. We were just talking about PlayStation already does this. There's Game Pass, right? So they're just trying to catch up, basically. I assume it's going to be like the same thing where you pay for a subscription and then you have this endless backlog of games, right, that you've played and that you haven't played yet. So I think if they're all going to run a lot more smoothly, that's a huge win for Nintendo because they don't have that happening now. I was just trying to they have like a cloud version of Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, and I was like, oh, maybe it might look better on my OLED Switch. No, you have to have perfect pristine internet to even play that game. So if they could make less like have to be always connected, but like the processing power on your device, like you download the game, it just runs faster and more quickly, less loading times. You have the game. It's not just like stream based backlog stuff. Backwards compatibility. I'm all in for that. I don't think this article mentioned what kind of backwards compatibility it was going to be, but if it's like what I was talking about that I would want, I want that, Spencer. I want that one.
Yeah, and I think people are assuming with some of these rumors that you'll be able to run your Nintendo Switch cards as well. But what I want to return to is Pokemon. Like this would be the perfect implementation if somehow they could make that game run better and look better via enhanced processing power, and Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that.
Well, I was hoping that even with my new Switch OLED, I would have a better running Violet, Pokemon Violet, and it didn't run any better. So I think that's like the issues are on like a programming creator level, right? And I think the Game Freak just needs to either do a better job at training their current employees, or they need to hire new talent that can actually program these games properly, because it doesn't seem like it's a hardware issue. It seems like it's either they're having a difficult ability of transferring the game on their computers onto their Switches or the current tech used for Switches. I don't know where it's the confusion. If it's the people, the software, the tech with the relationship between Game Freak and Nintendo, there's something going wrong. They're not communicating properly. They're not getting the job done. But if they say like the older games, right? We're talking like first gen to like Gen 6 or I don't know. I'm not the ultimate Pokemon fan, but I do like it. So like Gen 1 to like Gen 6, these are more like the Game Boy days, maybe even DS. Those games ran pretty well and worked well. So if they can bring those, just pay for your Nintendo subscription, bring those, you can download those on the Nintendo Switch 2, then that would be pretty awesome to see those run even maybe with a better frame rate or faster load times. And then what would be ultimate for Nintendo to do is just finally have a good console to internet connecting device so that you can play Smash Bros with your friends more easily, Mario Kart, and not have so many of those frustrating lagging glitches that that Nintendo's famous for, and why many people, as they get older, they grow out of playing online Switch because they want a more of a tested, predictable online experience, instead of like I might just lose first place because I'm gonna glitch out and they're gonna glitch forward in Mario Kart, right? So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for with that backwards compatibility. Do you have any thoughts to wrap that up?
Yeah, I think that your Pokemon programming issue versus the tech could be illustrated via something like Mario Wonder, right? You played Mario Wonder. I've heard great things that it looks and runs well. It looks beautiful. Even Xenoblade Chronicles, I think, which one is the newer one where people are talking about how stunning and massive that world is. Of course, it doesn't run flawlessly. Neither does Tears of the Kingdom, but you can see the difference in quality of implementation of the tech from the Nintendo, first party teams. And I don't know if Pokemon would be considered first party teams, but I think one of the reasons why that team struggles is because they have to put out yearly releases, whereas the Nintendo teams are given kind of free reign to develop their games under, the most ideal of circumstances. At least that's how it seems from the outside looking in, where, Metroid Prime 4 isn't rushed out the doors. Mario Wonder, I think they were saying that there was a lot of creative freedom and time to develop that. So maybe that's the issue with the Pokemon company. But yeah, hopefully with Pal World out, doing amazing numbers, that creates a unique situation where Nintendo and the Pokemon company have to come together and make something really, really special for the next one.
I think they will. And I'm happy. I'm not one of those Pokemon fans who are mad at Pal Worlds. I am so happy that Pal Worlds exists. And there's other ones too, like Temtem, I think I see on Steam. Some people like that. You have to always be online, but people like that, right? I'm happy for these competitors to Pokemon, and I'm happy they do well, because we need a better Pokemon game. It sucks that these games run like they're sometimes unfinished GameCube games, and it's 2023. Wow. They're just really behind when it comes to how a game performs, and especially compared to what you're paying for to play an awesome, beautifully crafted masterpiece like Ghost of Tsushima, Red Dead 2, Final Fantasy, these God of War, Spider-Man, and on Xbox like Starfield, like what you're giving up in terms of the dollar amount to play a Pokemon game, that all that could be spent on an epic, beautifully made, well-working game on a different console. So it's just hard sometimes to justify buying these games even though you love the brand. And when is someone like me gonna break and go, you know what, I'm never gonna buy another Pokemon game because I have 10 already. They have the Pokemon I like. Why would I need to pay another $60, $70 for a new Pokemon game when I already got it at home? They got to do something new. They got to do something new.
Well, according to Reuters, Max A. Cherney and Stefan Nellis, Nintendo's current Switch handheld console already includes NVIDIA's Tegra X1 chip, and that's the chip that I think is from like 2020. What is it, like 20? I want to say the Switch came out in 2017, so I think the chip is from like 2014 or something. It's like a mobile chip. Okay. The new one is going to be a custom design by NVIDIA. And so that would mean, I believe, that you have support for is it DLSS, the upscaling resolution technology. And I'm sure all kinds of interesting bags of tricks to help with this kind of issue that we see in the disparity between the consoles of your Nintendo Switch and your, PS5, PS6, because we don't know how long the Switch is going to last, right? So it's going to have to have some kind of software level technology to integrate. And I think that's what NVIDIA has been doing a lot of over the past couple of years, that we've been seeing a lot of these new technologies kind of emerge. So having that implemented into a Switch would be really nice, because that's a huge player base where they're incentivized to optimize these games and make them run. And it's kind of like hopefully will be a seal of approval and quality for the port. It's like if it's going over to the Switch, hopefully that will mean that they've put a lot of time and effort in that port. as opposed to all of the different laptops we might have or different handheld PC consoles or all this. Hopefully the Switch 2 will have a great NVIDIA kind of thought process of, okay, you know, this game is going over to the Switch. This is going to touch so many people's hands. Let's make sure that we put a little extra love and care into this port to maximize the NVIDIA processing and all of that. And I think that's been partly true because I played Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch and I loved it. I didn't feel like I was getting that much lesser of an experience than if I was playing it on the Xbox because I was able to play it on the go. And so as the Steam Deck and all of these PC handhelds come out, it's a battle of the operating system, the ease of use, the care that all of the developers put into that port, right? So Nintendo's incentivized to enable developers to have a smooth process of porting it over and maximizing the technology that they're rolling out. So that makes me excited. We'll see how the implementation goes and if your Pokemon games run smoothly. So
God willing.
So one of the things that kind of confuses me, I know that Nintendo is trying to roll out as many marketing beats as possible before March. So one of those examples is these Valentine's Day tweets that people are talking about. So they tweeted, I believe, 7 times today, every hour, spaced apart. Wow. So the first one was promoting Yes Nordics, which is a part of the Yes series. Have you had any experience with that series? The JRPGs?
No, is that how it's... Is that how it's pronounced? I don't know. I've always just like
ease. Oh, I think it's called
ease. I always just went.
Ease.
I always just was like, it's wise or is or it looks like
no.
Yes,
I think it's ease. Ease is the way they pronounce it.
Ease.
So
okay.
That company also does, I believe, Trails of Cold Steel.
That's a
right.
good series.
Is
I
it
heard.
Felcom?
Yeah.
So I'm still
in
a playthrough of that.
Oh,
there was
cool.
a really good documentary on YouTube that I recommend talking about the history of this company. And so they promoted that. And then they promoted Fashion Dreamers Classic Fair Update, which is I think it's like a cozy game. And then Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered.
Ooh.
They promoted Super Mario RPG again, and then they promoted Princess Peach coming March 22nd, and then Mario versus Donkey Kong. I think that came out, I want to say today, and then Splatoon 3. So what I saw in that podcast with Wood and Kit and Krista, who used to be on the Nintendo Minute, was Kit and Krista, who are former Nintendo employees, were just saying how you're going to see a lot of this kind of thing where they're rolling out these marketing beats before so they could start with a clean slate for the next system. So I don't know if this tweet barrage was the direct or if there is still a direct coming tomorrow in anticipation of this Xbox podcast business update. Are they going to drop these Xbox games on the Switch and there's going to be a partner showcase, or tomorrow's going to be a really big day for news basically because we may be getting a Switch Direct. We might have just gotten it. So yeah, any thoughts on whether you think there's going to be another Direct coming, or are they going to just save that for March when they supposedly are going to announce the new console?
Well, I think at this point I'm just always surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. I you know me from last year. Like every podcast, guys, I was going, do you think the Switch 2 is coming out? and Spencer's like, nah, they got to sell more. They got to sell more. And so at this point, I'm just sitting back and watching, twiddling my thumbs, like, what's gonna drop? What kind of games? I don't know anything anymore. That's where I'm at, Spencer.
That's fair. So many people have been saying that, and I'm finally telling you, I think March is it. I think we're finally here. It's like, how close are we to Disneyland? It's like we're finally. This is the exit. We're getting off on the exit. Get your stuff
Really?
ready.
I don't believe you till I'm in there.
Yeah, smart, honestly. So yeah, tomorrow will be big. So next week we'll discuss either the Nintendo Direct or this Xbox business update. So if you guys aren't subscribed, subscribe to the Yetti Den. We'll eventually figure out a name for this podcast, but we will be discussing the interesting news of whatever has occurred. We're about to wrap up, but before we do, I wanted to ask, are there any Nintendo series specifically that you think Nintendo should launch with or that you hope they launch with?
Ooh, okay. I think that's a really good, like, a launch title. Like, this is the first game you can play.
Yeah, what would be your pick?
Oh gosh. It would have to, well, because Nintendo's trying to Disneyify themselves, right? So it would have to be a Nintendo character. I think something that it could be would be, when's the last time they dropped the Splatoon, like, title? It could be that.
When did Splatoon 3 come out?
Yeah.
That could be interesting. Yeah, because do you think that the Splatoon brand is on the rise for them? Is that becoming a core, cornerstone of the Nintendo empire?
Well, I know it was a lot more popular with the, younger generation. They even brought over that Squid character to Smash Bros, right? And so it's becoming more of like a franchise or a game that they are going to keep making, I think. So I can totally see Splatoon dropping with the new Switch. And then obvious choice would be some sort of Mario title. But I think they might not just do that. I think they might do like something like Splatoon, something new that they want to build the brand with, because dropping that first game, I think of like things like Pikmin was like one of the first games with GameCube, like a new title. And I think that's what they're going to want to do. So they could either have a new character they want to bring to the table, a new kind of game, or they could bring back something that's still relatively new in the last 10 years, which is like Splatoon, to kind of set in stone, like, this is one of our characters now that we want you to pay attention to and adopt to your Nintendo family at home. What about you? What do you think could be a launch title?
Me, personally, you got to do something with Donkey Kong. Because I remember on the Wii U, Tropical Freeze being one of my favorite games of that console generation. And I know they ported it over for the Switch, but there hasn't been that much Donkey Kong content. And Donkey Kong is awesome because he's kind of like the perfect marriage of Rayman and Crash Bandicoot. And so you kind of get that beautiful jungle environment, that kind of 90s, 2000s music that is iconic, right? Like, I see so many places music from, I want to say it was the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong title. Is it Donkey Kong Country? But there's so many iconic musical moments. And then with the film, you have Donkey Kong kind of coming. You have, I was listening to Kind of Funny, and someone mentioned how they said, tying that into the new world that they're building in the parks, the theme parks, and getting Donkey Kong on the same level as Mario or closer to that level with the younger generation. And I'm a huge Donkey Kong fan. I always was jealous of the kids who had, was it Diddy Kong Racing, or what was that?
Yes.
That kart, or was it like snow? Was it water? Was it water based? I think something like that. I know that's maybe a little more zany. Yeah, that would be sick if they did that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that would be my vote. Something in that lane I would be really excited about.
I think they're gonna drop Halo on it.
That would be interesting. Considering how network based that game is, that would be, to tying back into your desire for better networking. Yeah. That would be something they would need to implement.
Totally. Oh my god.
So
I have
thank
a dream
you guys
game.
for tuning in. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have a
What's your dream
title.
game?
My dream game for the Nintendo Switch 2, which I don't know if they will do, is I want them to allow that for that. Hopefully they might, with that backwards compatibility, bring Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, to Nintendo Switch 2, because I've been wanting to play that game so badly on the Switch, and they haven't decided to do that yet. So if they could finally bring that game to this Nintendo Switch 2, I would be so happy. That's one of my favorite Legend of Zelda games of all time. So we'll see.
Well, there it is. Let's get that one ported for JumbyJumbwa. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Subscribe. We're a new podcast and the channel is pretty new. Subscribe to JumbyJumbwa as well. And let us know what you guys think of the podcast and what you want to hear more of. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. Later. Bye.
Later.